Alright guys, so first things first is we're going to start off with basic mods as mentioned before, and what better way when you're on a budget to do small little things to your car than to try to replace, your lights with LEDs. Originally on this is just normal halogens. You get that orange look, I don't really like it. It's kind of nasty, and sometimes you just want a brighter light. So we're going to replace the bulbs with LED turn signals and LED backup lights because nobody likes that yellow light when you're backing up. So let's get into it. So I know what you're thinking. What are you guys doing, especially in a park? Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. There's something to know. When you live in an apartment complex and don't have your own house or your own garage, well, when you don't have a garage, you find an empty parking lot. You know why? Why not? It's nice and sunny. It's a beautiful day in Southern California. So I have Mad Maestro over here.
Yo.
Doing my rear. Wow. What are they called?
License plate lights, dummy.
Plate lights. Sorry, I forgot. This one looks brighter than it is. And he's trying to film himself do it. I know what you're asking. Why am I not doing this myself? There's a simple answer. Because I'm fat is the primary answer.
Oh, there you go.
But no, the actual answer is my back. My lower back is killing me. And he was nice enough to volunteer to do this. And then we're going to make sure that the taillights are switched up so we could do LEDs.
Mechanic and switching out lights.
And he's talking to himself.
We're doing a double vlog. Jeez.
Or his own viewers, but I like to think that he's.
I'm on episode
I like to
2.
think he's talking to himself. And technically, don't listen to him about episodes because this is probably going to be like episode 3. There's a reason why. You guys will see once you see the other previous videos.
Pass me the light.
Alright guys, so obviously the hatch is open now. These are really, really simple ways to do little things. This one in particular, cool thing about it is there's just 2 bolts right here as soon as you open the hatch. So we're obviously going to take the 10mm socket, unscrew this one, and then basically, depending on what you have going on, you're either just going to shake the taillight a bit to get it off, with both hands obviously, or if you guys have a Harbor Freight or any other cheap place, they have these little cheap plastic panel removing tools if you guys are having problems removing the taillight, and I'll show you where you want to kind of insert that in a moment. Alright, so as mentioned, in case you guys are having trouble wiggling this out and it's not coming out, you're going to want to go ahead and grab one of those body panel removal tools, preferably a small one, and actually you're just going to insert right underneath here as to not scratch obviously the paint or the body. I mean, one thing, they're usually pretty smooth, so you're not going to scratch it already, but if you really, really want to be careful, you can put some sort of cloth right here and then insert it in, so that way you can easily pry it off. Well, the only thing holding it back is obviously the 2 bolts that we mentioned, and then when you slide it out, there's this little magnet that literally just slides in and slides out that's also holding it in place. So make sure that when you guys are reassembling this later on afterward, and it's really hard to show with the camera, so unfortunately I can't really get in there, but make sure that you place the taillight back in and slide it in. You'll kind of hear a slight tiny little click letting you know that that magnet slid in back into the spot, and then obviously you'll just bolt these back together. You'll know that you did it wrong or it didn't slide in is if you don't see this flush right here. It'll actually leave kind of a slight gap, well, enough for a good fingernail to fit in. Right now it looks flush, so if you see that slight gap, that's just a good indicator that you actually didn't slide it in correctly. You'll want to prop it off, slide it back in. Another tail sign that will let you know if you didn't insert it properly is right here where the bolts are at. They'll actually have a slight gap as well. So the bolts, even though you'll be able to put them in, won't seat as perfectly as you'd like them to. And obviously you want to get it sealed because if it rains or whatnot, you don't want any water damage getting into the electrical or just any kind of water in general. Alright, anyways, work in progress. So we obviously took off the bolts. And let me try to zoom out. Oh yeah. So we already took the bolts out and we're working on this right side. So Mad Maestro here, hold the light. So no, we'll take out the light so they can see.
So basically what you have to do is when you unscrew the bolts that are holding it right here and here, all you do is just wiggle it out. And there you go.
Now obviously to make life easier on you, you want to just connect this particular harness right there.
Because I'm having troubles.
And then you have full access of the taillight and easy access to
these will be pried back in, or they'll be locked in, but obviously you gotta unlock it. And there's a little thing, mechanism right here, tells you how to lock it and unlock it.
So obviously we're just gonna lock them back in, put it back in, bolt it back together, do it to the other side, and we should be good to go. So simple, easy peasy. In a moment you'll see the finished product. Alright guys, so obviously we finished the install. One minor note to tell you guys, because I've been driving it for a day now after the install of everything, is that with LED bulbs they actually draw a lot less energy, and they actually do something called hyper flashing. So I'm going to show you what the difference is so you guys can understand. Some of you guys, you know, coming from the JDM side in the good old Honda days and whatnot, used to do this purposely. I don't really mind it. It's kind of annoying because it does defeat the little functionality of just pushing your turn signal and getting it to do the automatic 3, 5, or 7 flash system. But I'll show you real quick what I mean by that. So this is what it normally looks like. Alright, so notice right now these are the LEDs, and for some odd reason when you put the hazards on they actually flash like you normally would expect. So right now you can see that it's working properly. It's just doing a single speed flash. This is when the hazards are on. So this is what normally would look like with normal halogens and LEDs in hazard mode. But let me show you what it looks like when you actually initiate an actual turn. Alright, so now this is what I was explaining about hyper flashing. So as you can see right now it's flashing very fast, and that's actually what happens when you install LEDs on this car. It's just a part of the fact that the actual blinker or flasher relay thinks that the bulb is actually dead. So the first flash will flash at normal speed, but then because it gets the feedback that it's not drawing as much energy as it normally should, it starts blinking really fast. This is a symptom called hyper flashing, and it's basically you can fix it. I've looked into it. They have these little bus units that you can put between the actual wire and the bulb socket that'll fix the issue. Or, which I haven't found yet, if they make an actual flasher relay made for LED lights, it'll solve the issue and, you know, bring it back to normal blinking. Once again, like I said, it's not amazingly frustrating. If you don't like, you know, quick blinking, then obviously you might find it annoying. Another reason why you might find it annoying is obviously when a bulb is dead, it starts blinking that fast, and it lets you know, hey, you have a bulb on the left or right side that's been burnt out. So you obviously won't get that heads up if one of your bulbs is burnt out because of the hyper flashing. So it might be something you might want to get fixed, or, you know, every once a week or maybe every month, check on your bulbs, make sure that they're all, you know, functioning properly. Other than that, I really like the way it came out, and that's about it, guys. LED bulbs, all for the rear end. Apparently these tools are for fat people. It's called Husky tools.
obviously.